What's going on, y'all? You are now tuned in to No One Watches Regular News. I'm your host, Kerry Bogar. Let's talk about Joe Biden. He's back on the scene again. He's back in the spotlight. Biden wasn't surprised that sexist attacks cost Harris the election. This is what he is claiming. This is his belief, his opinion. However, here's an article. It says, how did Harris campaign spend its $1 billion? Right. So it says right here, controversial spins. The Washington Examiner highlighted that Harris spent $15 million on event production, which included performance from Lady Gaga and Katy Perry. $1 million Oprah Winfrey's production company, and over $100,000 to build a podcast set for Harris' appearance on the Call Her Daddy podcast. It also spent $12.8 million on digital media consultants. Democratic frustrations. The New Republic highlighted previously reported frustrations from Democratic officials. A former DNC consultant said, "We spent in stupid ways because we had a really bad strategy." A Biden staffer told Axios, How did you spend $1 billion and not win? What the fuck?" Next article, this is from NPR.org. Not going back, how Harris failed to turn the page on Trump in her 107-day sprint. Now again, Biden is talking about sexist. Sexism is the reason why she lost. But is that true? Or is Biden making false claims? In the article, just going to scroll down real quick. For example, right here, it says a campaign operation that stayed Biden's. Okay. The campaign, as it was built for a different kind of nominee, said Scott, who worked on the vice president's campaign team before she became the nominee in July. It says right here, one of the biggest hurdles Scott said was that even after Harris became the nominee, voters still didn't have a grasp on who she was. Biden's campaign leaders didn't know her well either, and were not as well equipped to tell her story and play her campaign to her strengths, he said. When the merger came, and I think this would be true for a lot of Black staffers, they felt like it was a harder time for us after that switch, almost like, is there a little bit of a punishment now that she's the nominee over President Biden? Scott said of Harris. Next thing, Harris tried to be the change candidate, but she didn't distance herself from Biden. At the beginning of her campaign, she started off with remarks thanking the president for his leadership and having the crowd applaud his tough decision to leave the race. Then, in an interview on ABC The View in October, Harris was asked if she would do anything differently than Biden had done in the past 4 years. There is nothing that comes to mind, Harris said later in the interview. She changed course. "You asked me what's the difference between Joe Biden and me," she said. "I'm going to have a Republican in my cabinet because I don't feel burdened by letting pride get in the way of a good idea." Okay. Next thing, a delay and disconnect with base voters. This was the main thing that hurt her. I believe this was the main thing that really impacted her election. Well, she just couldn't connect with the base voters. Turnout from key groups like Black voters and young voters was disappointing, and Trump made inroads with Latino and Asian voters. Scott and others felt like campaign leadership made a calculation that they could focus on other groups like white women and Republicans who didn't like Trump, which delayed outreach to groups like Black men. There is a little bit of an assumption that they're that because the candidate was a Black woman, some things are going to come for granted, Scott said. So people thought because she was a Black woman that this was a given, that Black men and and black women would vote for her because she was black. And that wasn't the case. Now, going back to what I was showing earlier, this article, Biden wasn't surprised that sexist attacks cost Harris election. We know with just common sense and reading and understanding that this is not true. Based on evidence, where's the evidence at that this is true? It wasn't sexism that kept her from being the VP. It wasn't sexism that kept her from being able to receive the nomination when she ran. It was only until she lost the election. So this is why people are having a hard time connecting with the Democratic Party, because their lack of honesty and being transparent, being truthful. This is why they're losing support. With that being said, this is the interview on The View of Joe Biden, and he's going to explain his position.
Mr. President, last time you were here was a little over a month before the election, and you had made the selfless and very difficult decision, I'm sure, to step aside. And Democrats were feeling optimistic about the vice president's chances of winning the presidency. But then election night came, and it was like 2016 all over again. Yeah. So why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
No. I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president. She is. She's qualified to be president of the United States of America. But I was surprised. I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean,
how do you how do you come up with this assumption that it was the sexist route? Where's the evidence at? Where's the proof of it? It's up until the point where she could win. She doesn't win. She doesn't get in the White House. Now this is the excuse, the reason. In my opinion, when you look at these stories like this, and you have to be objective and tell the truth. And this is why Democrats are having a hard time getting more support.
This is a woman. She's this, she's that. I mean, it really, I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country, and a woman of mixed race.
Yeah.
And they played that to a fairly well. In addition to that, one of the things happened, if you notice, and I'm going to be shorter, okay? I promise. She said, "Don't be Joe Biden. Be short."
I said that to him.
Anyway, make a long story short, all kidding aside, think about it. Liberal democracies all across America, all across the world lost last time.
Yeah.
All across America. I think we underestimate the phenomenal negative impact that COVID had and the pandemic had on people, on attitudes, on optimism, on a whole.
Come on, man. COVID-19. COVID-19 had such a major effect on people, a major impact that in 2024, it changed people's attitude on voting, on who they're going to vote for. They were less optimistic. They didn't want to vote. Come on, man. Harris was going against two people, the couch and Trump. And it's the fault of her own party. Just say that, man. Just if Joe Biden just be honest and say, look, man, based on Harris's strategy, it didn't work. Plain and simple. That's why she lost. You can't say it was sexism and nothing else. That's why she lost. But he can't say that, though.
Whole range of things. So I was very disappointed, but I wasn't surprised. The only thing surprised me is the excess to which they've gone in some of the attacks they've made.
Yeah. Well, when was the last time you spoke with the vice president, and has she talked to you about what she wants to do next? Sought any advice? Maybe governor?
Yesterday, I talk to her frequently. We stay in touch, number one. Number two, she's sought my opinion. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
What to wear to the Met Gala.
That's exactly right. No, but all kidding aside, she's got a difficult decision to make about what she's going to do. Yeah. I hope she stays fully engaged. I think she's first rate. But we have a lot of really good candidates as well. So I'm optimistic. I'm not pessimistic about it.
Speaking of good candidates, I mean, who they got? AOC, Cory Booker, who? Jasmine Crockett, Gavin Newsom. It's been talks right now that Kamala Harris might run again in 2028 again, which I can't see happen. They already put up $1 billion for her and she still lost. So you mean to tell me that they're going to do it again? No. Just like Tim Walz, once they lost, it's over. She is lucky to still have some sort of career right now. People saw this happen in 2016 with the Clinton when she lost. It was a wrap. Her career was over with.
Well, Mr. President, you had previously said that you thought that you would have won. Since then, Donald Trump won all the battleground states and made inroads with almost every major demographic, from working class voters to Hispanic men to Black men. Knowing what you know now, do you think you would have beat him?
Yeah, he still got 7 million fewer votes.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people didn't show up. Number one.
Right there, a lot of people didn't show up. At least he told that truth.
Number one. Number two, they're very close in those toss-up states. It was it wasn't a slam dunk, and so look, every time I've been on the show, which I've been fortunate to be on more than once. Thanks for having me. Is that we talk? You guys don't focus on as much, and I think it's good on polling numbers, but. Let me put it this way. He's had the worst 100 days any president's ever had.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And that's all they can say. Is that Trump is so bad, the worst 100 days. If they keep this up, just like Harris lost in 2024, they'll lose again in 28. It don't matter who is the nominee, they'll lose again. If this is their main focus is not the economy, not what the American people want. Whoever gets the nomination in 2028, if they do not focus on what the American people want, it's a wrap. They'll lose again. They will lose again because people do not want to hear you complain so damn much about Trump, crying and complaining about Trump. So that's my thoughts on that, man. Joe Biden comes out and says it's sexist. The sexist route was, the reason why Harris lost the election. That's not true. There's numerous reasons why she lost the election. Sexism wasn't one of them. It's simply not true. He sat there. The only thing that he was truthful about was saying that a lot of people didn't show up, and that was the truth. A bunch of people simply made the choice, the decision to stay home and watch the election. And again, like I said before, if they keep this up, they'll be fighting two battles. One against the Republican nominee, and then also again against the couch again. And they might lose that one.